So welcome to another edition of the Late Night series. I hope that you are prepared to watch some amazing games from some amazing players and stick with me to see who's going to get crowned as these late night champions in Europe. We have Lugia, we have Gudra, we have another Lugia, we have Arceus Duraludon, it's been a while. We have another Lugia, we have Vikavolt and one Vikavolt Regieleki, and to finish off this very diverse top cat, a Regigigas deck. So as soon as someone starts sharing my screen with me, I will immediately start broadcasting and casting the game. So I am very happy to see that at least there are not 6 Lugias out of 8 in the top 8 this time. I think that considering the variety of decks, Arceus Gudra might have a really decent shot of winning the tournament, but it is true, and that's something that we need to acknowledge, the power of Arceus Duraludon, because it's almost immune to Vikavolt, to item lock. It depends on the amount of Path to the Peaks that Regi plays. It's also a great choice, but it will depend on the matchups, it will depend on many factors. Of course, we are playing best of 3, so it does not matter if one player draws a little bit poorly during the first game, because still a second one is going to be played and possibly a third one. So yeah, I'm still waiting for someone to stream the game with us, and let me see, looks like there is already someone here sharing the screen. So great, let's start here, and let me adjust a little bit the screen, I don't know what is happening. Let's start with our feature match of top 8. So as you can see, we have in this case Kari against Arceus, and they both have amazing sleeves. We see Vikavolt, item lock, going against, let me see, now when the Pokemon gets flipped, we will see if it's Lugia or what type of matchup we are going to be seeing here. Yeah, and that's it. It's Lugia. So Vikavolt goes first in this case. By the way, it's the player from Vikavolt is from Chile, so a fellow Spanish speaker. And of course, what you want to do here in this situation is to set up as quickly as possible, because the way in which you're going to win this matchup is by trying to item lock your opponent as soon as possible. Or if you have the necessary amount of resources, maybe you can go for a KO on Lugia in your very first turn, in case that the opponent is only able to bench one Lugia, to play one Lugia in the field. So that's why I think that Raikou is being selected here instead of Vikavolt. If you think about it, it makes sense, because Raikou has the capability to directly KO Lugia in just one attack, and it also has a very nice ability that lets you draw one card, which is what we are going to see now. The Judge could be huge in the next turn, so think about that. Judge plus Path to the Peak will be very effective in shooting down Lugia's drawing power and Lugia's B-star ability. However, if Lugia is able to draw something like a Lost Vacuum or draw something like a Punkaboo and gets rid of the stadium, then it will be as easy as to use Summoning Start, get some Arceus going, and well, basically that's it. So Vikavolt seems to be happy. Well, I think it's a bit ironic about what has been discarded via Ultra Ball, and now we see Lugia searching the deck and finding. Maybe I think that if the Lugia player recognizes that definitely it's a problem to be facing a Raikou, a possible choice would be to set up a second Lugia V, so to secure the V start in the following turn. However, that Ultra Ball has grabbed Oranguru, which is also going to provide a lot of consistency in the long term and might help to overcome a potential item lock. Now, Capture Energy goes on to the Lugia, and this is pretty interesting. What has been chosen is Dunsparce. Now, as you know, Dunsparce has this ability that protects Lugia from taking weakness damage from Raikou, and in that sense it will be very difficult for Raikou to KO Lugia just like that. So now let's see what the approach is going to be. I see that there are two different supported options. Either you play perhaps something like Melanie, or you just go ahead and use Judge and Path to the Peak. But this is big. This is even better. This is, I think, the best scenario that Vikavolt can hope for. Because if you think about it, you are just going to trade your Raikou to directly get rid of one of the most problematic cards in the deck, that is Dunsparce, because it prevents you from effectively using your lightning attackers. And once that Dunsparce is down, then Lugia is suddenly very vulnerable to your attackers. So let's see what happens here, because still no supporter has been used for this turn. So maybe we will see a Judge and a Path to the Peak here. That might be what we see. Let's see, there is no space. The player is considering whether to use Path to the Peak or not. I think it's a really, really good movement from a really good choice from this player. And now, whenever you play Path to the Peak, it's a bit like Path and Pray in a sense, because now you know that you have taken some resources out of the Lugia player, but still, if Lost Vacuum is found or if Pumpkaboo is found, you are in big trouble. However, if they miss those cards, you basically win the game. Okay, so this is huge, because now Lugia V-Start is going to be grabbed, and now, is there a possibility to remove? No, there is not! So Path to the Peak worked perfectly, and as I was saying, this is absolutely huge. What a relief, because Raikou can now KO that Lugia on the field. It's a bit unfortunate because we don't see a Vikavolt, or we cannot see anything coming into play that will be a follow-up attacker. Look at all that Forest Seal stones that just cannot be used, because how unlucky is that? No Quick Ball, no Ultra Ball, just more item cards that cannot be used for the time being. So yeah, maybe what we will see here is just a Mew retreating and another Mew going in, because there is a Scoop Up Net into the hand, and still nothing, still no Quick Ball. So maybe another Scoop Up Net, and maybe two Scoop Up Nets are going to be used here or not. So just an attack by Raikou. They are deciding whether to attach an energy or not. So it was attached finally, the Water Energy, to Greninja, but Raikou at least gets 2 cards with that KO. Now, things are looking pretty solid for Vikavolt, but we know how powerful Lugia is and how quickly they can turn things around, especially if you consider that there are no secondary attackers prepared in Vikavolt's bench. And I think that it is clear that this Ultra Ball is going to grab Pumpkaboo, so to get rid of Path to the Peak, there it is. This Psychic Little Friend, Spooky Friend in fact, gets selected, so now Lugia is free to activate their abilities, and we are going to see 2 Arceus hitting the field, and sadly for that Raikou, even with the Cape of Sadness attached, some powerful energies are just going to make it enough to KO. Oh, and that's very interesting. I didn't notice at first, but of course. So the Lugia player has decided that 1 Arceus is more than enough to just win the game. And as such, what they are going to do is to bring back from the discard pile the Dunsparce, protecting again Lugia from lightning weakness. That is very interesting. Now, however, if I am not mistaken, without access to Lost Vacuum. Oh, and they got the Lost Vacuum! Oh my god, that's huge. The fact that they got the Lost Vacuum means now that Raikou is going to go down. If they had not drawn that card, Raikou would have survived, and I think that everything would have been very, very, very different. So now Mew needs to be promoted. There are still different possibilities. that this player can go for. Look at it. There it is. The quick ball that they were searching for previously. Now, good thing is that Melon is still in place, which means that Vikavolt can attack. The problem is whether Vikavolt will be able to survive or not the second attack of Lugia. That's going to be definitely an issue. There is also the possibility to go for Luminion here and search for a supporter, but in the end it was decided that Melony was the play. So what do you do here in this situation? You've gotten so far. You've effectively locked your opponent for one turn, and then how bad it is that they were able to get they were able to get rid of the stadium, that they were able to get rid of your Cape of Toughness, and then you are kind of forced to attack with Vikavolt with Paralyzing Bolt, dealing some damage, which is not going to be huge, but at least it chips away some damage from Lugia. But now this is definitely an issue, because if you think about it, Lugia is just 2 prizes away from getting the victory, and Raikou, who was the card that it was going to pull off an attack next turn, has now gone down. So what do you do in this situation? I think that the only chance here is to use the second attack from Vikavolt that deals 180 damage, if I am not mistaken. Still not enough to KO Lugia. Still not enough, but maybe we see here a weird combination of Zigzagoons and Zapdos, and after that you Roxanne your opponent so that they don't have a lot of possibilities to attack with. But let's see, this is definitely not an easy situation for Vikavolt currently, and maybe they take a more tactical approach, waiting for stuff to happen and relying on the opponent not having access to boss's orders. So let's see what happens here. Lugia using the powerful energy is definitely a problem that you need to deal with. But the question is, how do you effectively deal with that Lugia, considering that there is no way for you to hit for weakness? So another Scoop Up Net gets picked here, and that will give the player some flexibility. We see Luminion, and we see here boss's orders targeting Lugia, and now Mew is going to go back to the hand. So Zigzagoon is going to come, deal 1 damage counter into Lugia, and the second one is going to be played. Oh, true, and they had it. Oh my god. So did they get they got the numbers? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It was just the perfect math. This is the power that the Sky Seal Stone has in this format, and just like that, Vikavolt steals 1 quick win against Lugia. Wow, incredible. I was making some maths in my head, and I knew that with two Zigzagoon, it was possible to KO the Lugia, because you were adding you were basically adding 3 damage counters, so 2 via Zigzagoon and 1 because of Zapdos in the bench. But I was wondering how they were going to get over something like Radiant Charizard that could come up from anywhere. And I completely missed the fact that they had the Sky Seal Stone and that they had not used it. So now it's time for a game 2. What an amazing play to seal the game from Vikavolt here. So in this situation, let's see who gets to start. Lugia gets to decide. Looks like Lugia is going to go first in order to set up. Now, of course, what Vikavolt needs to do here is to try, if it's possible, to disrupt Lugia's hand, but it's going to be very unlikely. So probably just try to start the item lock as soon as possible. Another weapon that we all know that they run is Raikou, that can effectively deal with Lugia in case that Lugia is the active Pokemon. So let's see what happens here. Let's see what is the active Pokemon from Lugia. And as we were expecting, it's yet again one Lugia V. Now, Mew was the Pokemon that the Vikavolt player started with. This is, of course, going to provide with some very welcome flexibility and setting up capabilities. And we see some discarding here going on. So Dunsparce is going to be prioritized over everything. And one energy has now been attached onto Lugia. Now, this is really good in a sense because we know that now Lugia is kind of immune to the attack from Raikou, so it cannot go down this turn. That's something that definitely is not going to happen. Now, the question that I have is whether, and this is what is the situation that is going to decide the matchup, is whether Lugia will be able to recover or will have an out from the item lock. Well, first of all, we need to see Vikavolt actually activating the item lock, but let's see, because there are still some more cards and more tricks that the Vikavolt player has under the sleeve. And yes, that is amazing. A battle VIP pass gets found by Mew, and this is not going to thin. This is not only going to thin their deck, but also get the resources that they need in that moment. Maybe another possibility here is to play Escape Rope and target that Dunsparce. But there are choices. Choices need to be made here. In order to attack this turn, you need to use Melony, and you need, in order for that to happen, there is a water energy that needs to be sent to the discard pile, which had already happened. So looks like this is exactly what we are going to see now. The Forest Sealstone had been used, and now the question is, if you are in this situation, do you get rid of Dunsparce or do you attack Lugia? Either option is good. The positive aspect about getting rid of Dunsparce is that if Lugia wants to keep the lightning immunity in the game, they need to take it back, and without access to double Arceus, it's going to be very difficult to take down that Vikavolt. Now we see a powerful energy and we see one professor's research. So that is going to give Lugia a lot of possibilities, and there it is, the V-Star ability coming into play, bringing one Arceus and in this case the Dunsparce. Now the problem that I see here is so they need to attach double powerful energy in order to overcome that Cape of Softness that was attached to Vikavolt. So how do you answer this effectively? How do you effectively deal with this? Because I don't know if there is the possibility for something to KO Lugia in just one thing, considering that Dunsparce is still on the field. So maybe what you need to do in this situation is try to pull off a crazy combination between promoting or forcing the Dunsparce to get promoted, like Escape Rope or maybe Cross Switcher, but in order for you to keep attacking, then it's clear that the supporter of the turn needs to be Melony. That's going to keep the energies flowing. So let's see what gets grabbed here by that Luminion. I think it's going to be a Melony, and there it is. So Melony gets grabbed, and it looks like the attacker of choice is going to be Vikavolt, but that was pretty unlucky because the energy that was drawn was not the lightning one, but it was a water. So now what is going to be the play here? Maybe thinning out a little bit the hand so that Crobat can hopefully draw into the lightning type energy in these two cards. Let's see. Yes, it is. The speed energy, even better. So look at it. So that was a close one. Now Vikavolt will be able to attack with Paralyzing Bolt, And I think that here the strategy is to chip away the damage from Lugia and then finish it off with Raikou. The only problem that I see is that if Lugia is able to power up a second attacker that can effectively deal with Raikou, things are going to get very, very, very difficult. And it seems that this is the situation because that Stoutland is still going to be able to deal 220 damage. Oh, but that is interesting. So, no, okay. So Stoutland has now decided to go against Mew and take 2 prizes, preserving that Lugia with all the powerful energies in the bench. So yeah, definitely that's going to be a very, very rough situation for Vikavolt to come back. What do? If you can answer, I guess, the Stoutland, but even if you do that, how do you get rid of Lugia, or how do you prevent your opponent from taking the last 2 prizes that they need? That's definitely a problem. I think that we are going to see another route of play here with Vikavolt attacking. Maybe, let's see, maybe Lugia. What is going to be promoted here? So Dunsparce gets promoted, then Mew is going to activate Mysterious Tail, I think it's called. Another net gets scrapped, and now there are different possibilities. So, but I think that the safest one is definitely to attack with Vikavolt. Now, Dunsparce is no longer a problem, but you're still 4 prizes away from winning against Lugia. And if Lugia, it's true that they cannot KO you. I think oh no, they can. Yes, they can, just because they had the three energies attached. All that they needed was an energy. So yeah, it was a very complex situation, as I was saying. The moment that Lugia was able to power itself up, the moment that Dunsparce was brought back into the game, it was clear that the situation was not looking great. I personally think that this matchup can go either way, but it really depends on Lugia missing the V-Star for at least one turn, whether that is via item lock or whether that is via a combination of Path to the Peak and Hand Disruption, which is, by the way, what happened in the first game. Now, the things are going to be different now because Vikavolt gets to start, and that hand is actually pretty good in the sense that it has some trekking shoes and it has double VIP passes, which is exactly the card that you want to open up with. The objective here will be to set up as soon as possible a lightning attacker and to have everything ready to start attacking and possibly getting rid of that Dunsparce, which, by the way, is the Pokemon that we see in the active position. So we see Raikou and we see Vikavolt getting grabbed by Battle VIP Pass and checking the deck to see if there is something important that is missing. So a Scoop Up Net, it's going to be discarded. Then what is going to be promoted, I imagine, is going to be Mew. And not much here. So Scoop Up Net, Hisuian, Heavy Ball, or the Sky Seal Stone. And the problem is that if you miss the energy attachment, that's definitely an issue, because if you miss that, then you will need to rely on Melony in your next turn. I guess that you still have a chance. If you wanted to, you could Scoop Up Net your Mew, attach the air balloon to something and use the manual switching to use Mew again. Looks like this is not exactly what is going to happen, but Raikou is going to be selected to go into the active position. And maybe what we see here then, well, the Mew gets activated again, so trekking shoes, there was no other option, and there is still one spot free, which might transform into a Crobat, in case that it's not priced. And there it is, the energy. It was clear that the energy was a must. Is the way in which you win against this type of decks. You need to start attacking as soon as in your turn 2, and if you don't, you probably won't be able to make it back. But with that being said, now the situation looks much better, much better, and I think that we are just going to see the turn ending here. That it is. Okay, so the turn has ended, some cards has been sent to the discard pile, and now basically the ball is on Lugia's court. What is Lugia going to do and how they are going to play out? They might need to consider retreating the Dunkspars because it's such a vital card for the outcome of the game, as we saw. But if you do that, you're already sacrificing 1 energy, and let's see. So Evolution Incense gets played here, and probably we're going to see an Arceus. Yes, that is the situation. So Arceus gets grabbed, and a Professor's Research. So straight away, ooh, that's big. So 2 Arceus are already in the discard pile, I believe. Irida, and most important, the Punkaboo, which means that if they Judge and Path, so if Vikavolt uses Judge and Path to the Peak, maybe the chances of Lugia getting rid of the stadium are going to be much thinner. So let's see how this plays out. Lugia gets selected, Oranguru, to provide some very welcome late game consistency, and a card is placed on the top of the deck, and that's basically it. Now, Mew will activate its ability, and there are a couple of different things that they can go for. So they are grabbing the Sky Seal Stone. Now, the only problem with the Sky Seal Stone is that you will need to bench your Luminion in order to activate it, because both Vikavolt and Raikou already have tools on them, the Air Balloon and the Cape of Softness. So that's the only way in which you can activate it. And also, you need to consider that there are no energies in the hand. So that means that if they want to find an energy, either a supporter gets played, or they need to use Luminion to maybe get a Melony. So let's see, Escape Rope has been played, Raikou is going to be promoted using that ability to draw 1 card, and look at that! So a card was drawn again, Jet, and it seems that it's going to be attached to Vikavolt, starting the item lock. Now, a possibility here would be to use use Luminion, attach the tool, and Yacht the opponent. That might be a possibility here. But let's see. I understand that they don't want to use Luminion just like that, but at the same time, starting the item lock is really powerful and key to win this matchup. So they are thinking whether to use Judge or not. You never know these kind of plays. There is no right or wrong answer. The safest one, of course, is Luminion, but if you do that, the problem is that you are kind of getting out of long-term options, because there is only 1 Luminion in your deck and you don't have space for anything else. So maybe what we will see is, okay, also very interesting option here, which was to target down the Dunkspars and go, as I was saying, for Path to the Peak. That, to be honest, should be a pretty difficult situation for Lugia to come back, because if you think about it, no items can be played, so Lost Vacuum, even if they have Lost Vacuum on hand, would not be used. And Punkaboo has already been discarded, so unless they play a Stadium and they find a way to drawing into it, Lugia V-Star cannot use its V-Star ability, and we all know that without access to Lugia's V-Star ability, this deck can literally not win. So what we see here is a defensive, very interesting, a defensive Boss's Orders onto the Zapdos, hoping to stall for some turns and read the wind. That is going to provide some drawing options to try to get rid of Path to the Peak. And now, that is definitely an issue because no scoop up net was found. But look at that, double cross switcher is going to give the necessary switching option. So I would imagine that, because what do you go for here? Do you keep the item lock going on or do you try to attack with right go? Well, whatever you do, it's going to be fine. Maybe it's good to, since you are already 2 prices ahead, it's easy for you to kind of sacrifice the right go, accepting that Lugia might have a way to remove Path to the Peak, but they don't. And at this point, without access to Dunkspars, without access to a way to attack, I think that we can, I don't want to say that this game is over, but it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for Lugia to come back, considering that they are 4 prices behind. So Lugia gets down and they have been just judged and Path to the Peak is still in play and no Pumpkaboo. True that they can maybe draw the Lost Vacuum, but what do you do with that? Yeah, what do you do with that? So Luminion gets discarded because it was not used. Radiant Charizard gets grabbed, which by the way cannot attack, and Marnie. Marnie is the last hope for Lugia to somehow do something, and no, it was not possible. So just like that, we have our first winner of this series, Vikavolt taking 2-0 against Lugia. Wow. So I have to say that I enjoyed very much watching this game. I am very happy to see Vikavolt being played because I think it's a very under the radar type of deck. It has a really good matchup against Lost Box. It has a really good matchup against combo-based decks. And against Lugia, definitely, it has a good shot. I especially like the inclusion of Path to the Peak in this build because in early lists, what we've seen were some stadiums that helped during the setup, like maybe Stormy Mountains or maybe Training Card to get some energies back from the discard pile. But it's clear that, as I said, the way in which you win against Lugia is by preventing them to use the V-Star ability. That's the reason why Mew players are constantly using Aerodactyl and trying to use the attack to shut down the possibility of using someone in V-Star. And it was very well played from the player that was sharing the screen with us. So I hope that you enjoyed it. We have seen Lugia going down, so I think there is only one Lugia remaining in the top 8 cat. I'm going to just very, very quickly take one quick break because I need to get a glass of water. And then if there is someone else sharing their screens, maybe we will take a look at another game from this top 8. Okay, so we are back with another Top Cat game that is still being played, and in this case it features, again, Lugia, of course, against Regigigas. I think this is game number 2, and Regigigas is leading leading 1-0, if I am not mistaken. And what we see here is the typical situation in which Regigigas has been able to perfectly set up. We see that they have all the pieces they need. Well, they are missing now the Regidrago, so they that Regidrago needs at some point to be drawn by if they want to keep using Regigigas power. And that Lugia has also set up pretty nicely. There is Dance Spurs in play, there is Manaphy, which are the two main weapons that you need to rely on. However, as it seems, there is no way to get, unless there is another copy of Regidrago on the deck. I am not sure how many copies are there, because we see one Regidrago. Ooh, and this is big. Well, one Regidrago for sure. It's probably going to be still on the deck, but there are 3 copies of Ordinary Rod that had already been used, and that can be a problem in the long term. But luckily for the Regigigas player, it didn't really exactly matter, because they were able to attach manually the Aurora energy, and now Regigigas gets to be activated once again, effectively powering up a secondary attacker in case that something happens to that Regieleki. So they are considering whether keeping the choice belt or not. In the end, it seems that it is going to be discarded. And now the question is, are you going to use Regigigas power to power up something else, or who is going to be your attacker of choice? So in this sense, it seems that Regieleki is going to strategically retreat, and Regigigas itself is going to finish up the job of taking down Lugia in just one hit. You know, the power that Regigigas has, the capability of dealing 150, 300 if they are attacking a VMAX like Mew, for instance, which is the most popular VMAX in the format. And now pass on to Lugia, which, by the way, I didn't realize because I was not exactly looking at Lugia's bench, but it seems that there is only one Arceus, and this is definitely something that you don't want to see when playing Lugia. It really limits the amount of resources, the amount of attackers that you can use and the amount of resources that you can spend on them. So Radiant Charizard is going to be promoted. It already has the energies it requires, and it will do a great job taking down that Regieleki. Now, how do you... The question is going to be if the Lugia player has the resources to continue powering up the attackers that they need to get the remaining 3 prizes. That is the question that I would have in this situation. So Arceus is going to be used to power up. Oh, true, they need... Oh, no. So they need to invest all these energies because Path to the Peak is still on the field. Ooh. So, because at first I was like, wait, but Charizard is already able to attack. But no, it wasn't. It wasn't able to attack because of Path to the Peak. Oh, how damaging is Path to the Peak against things like Lugia? This is definitely an issue. Now, Regigigas has here the chance to finish off this game, but they are missing the Regigigas, which now is going to get grabbed with that capture energy. Now can activate the ability and power up maybe the Regieleki, I imagine, since it's already in the active position, or maybe they will decide to attack with something that gets some more HP. Let's see what happens here. So looks like Regieleki is going to be making a strategic retreat. There is also the possibility of using escape rope. But if they play escape rope, possibly what is going to be promoted is going to be the Punkaboo, so maybe not the best idea here. And this is a very clever move. Don't underestimate the attacking powers of your other Regis. You can still win against them. So Blizzard Bind is not only going to effectively KO this Charizard, but it kind of casts and spell a protection spell around Regis and cannot be touched by the Pokemon. So if you want to KO, the only thing that you can do here is basically to attach with Arceus. And Arceus is going to have a very hard time dealing with Regieleki. And if Arceus falls, then there is basically nothing else that you can attack with. So let's see what happens here. I think this was a captured energy what was attached onto Stoutland. Oranguru is grabbed from the deck. I think overall, I don't want to jinx it or anything, but if a Regigigas deck is able to properly set up, I feel there are a lot of possibilities for them to win against Lugia. But as I said, I don't want to jinx it, of course. Now Marnie is going to come into play. Are we going to see a KO at this point? Okay, so all energies go into all energies. I imagine that Lugia don't have that many energies in this situation. So Regigigas goes to the discard pile, and looks like they are looking at the amount of resources that they have gone through. There is another Regigigas still in hand, and if I am not mistaken, no, that I don't think that this Stoutland can be taken down other than by a choice belt Regi, right? Because Dunsparce is still in play, and that means that Regirock cannot attack for weakness. Or you can use Regidrago. That's another possibility. You can use Regidrago here. The Regigigas player needs to be careful about the amount of Regis that are going down, because I don't know if there is a fourth copy of Rod in the deck. Let's see very quickly. No, there is no Rod. So that means that the Regis that they have is the ones that they will work with for the remainder of the game. So it looks like Ultra Ball is going to be used to grab another Regieleki. And now if they want to attack this turn, Regigigas has to be benched. So double Regieleki is now going to be discarded. Regigigas comes into play. There is the possibility to manually attach an energy. That's what we are going to see. Escape Rope gets drawn. And what else are we going to see here? Not many options other than using Regigigas' ability, which I imagine that this is what we are going to see. Ancient Wisdom. So Aurora Energy for sure, because that's what allows Regis to attack. And now Gift Energy should not... I feel that Gift Energy can be a bit problematic, because if they attack the Regi with a Gift Energy and they are able to get the KO, they can force you to draw your entire deck, basically. So, okay, so it looks like what was powered up is Regigigas. Okay, so Regigigas was the chosen one. Does that mean that we are going to see Escape Rope here to get the attack? Imagine so. Okay, so Escape Rope gets played, and the opponent needs to choose what to kind of sacrifice. It can be maybe Oranguru that will tank the hit pretty well, or it's Arceus in this case. Okay, Arceus. And then we are going to see an attack, I imagine. So 100. And they are looking at the amount of resources that they have gone through. So they've basically seen their entire deck at this stage. And, no, they are going to retreat. So they are going to just retreat, hoping to get Arceus stuck there. Maybe because they didn't see the value, right? On using Blizzard Billion to attack this turn. Or they thought that maybe Regigigas was better I'm not entirely sure. So why it was decided not to attack this turn. Now, the problem that I see here is that there are only 2 cards left in the deck. So unless they are able to get another Super Rod from the prizes and they do it very quickly, there is the possibility of Regis losing this game. Unless I am missing something and they can very easily get all the prizes that they need. Which, well, I mean, maybe that's what they are going for, right? Maybe they know that Serena is still on the deck, and so it's just a matter of time that they are able to draw into Serena. They should be saved from a boss's order, because even if boss's orders get played, they can still just use Regigigas' ability to retreat whatever is put into the active position. And now, what is Lugia going to do? So they are down to 2 prizes. If they attack with Stoutland, now things are not going to look great for them, because if Regis is able to KO that Stoutland, it's over. Basically, they are done. So both players are really, really low on resources. We see an Ultra Ball being used to grab a Lugia, and I imagine that both players are trying to figure out exactly what they need to do. Maybe at this... no, okay. I was thinking that maybe what Stoutland would go for is for a retreat, a manual retreat, but doesn't look like it, and there it is. So Serena was effectively grabbed, so now Serena could target down something, but this is probably the safest choice here, which is to Heavy Slam, I imagine. So they just Heavy Slam onto the Stoutland, and when Stoutland retreats, you use Serena to bring it to the active position and to finish off the game. Now, I don't remember exactly the amount of damage that this Registeel is dealing. Ancient Wisdom seems that it's going to be used to get some capture energies and 1 speed energy, maybe preparing the field in case that something happens. So Heavy Slam is going to deal not much, but enough to take some damage away from Registeel. So many Regis. It's like I don't know, doing an exercise for improving your pronunciation or something like that. And now, what is Lugia going to be doing now? So yeah, we see a manual retreat, and unless we see a judge or we see something very weird like Marnie, I think that Regis just wins. That Regis, all that they need to do is to play that Serena, and they win. So Lost Vacuum is going now to be used. That path is finally left the board, but it is already too late, because in the last turn that Regigigas is going to power up Regidrago, Serena is going to be used on that heavily damaged Stoutland, and that is how Regis are going to advance into the next round. So that was it. So 2 matches were streamed and 2 Lugias went down just like that. So maybe we will have a top 4 where no Lugia is going to be present. So let me now go back here to my camera. So what do you think? What are you, how are you seeing the stream so far? Have you been enjoying the games? I hope that you have. What do you think about Lugia? What do you think about Regis? So what we see is we already have the top 4. So we have Regigigas, which is the one that we just saw. We have Arceus Duraludon, we have Regieleki Vikavolt, and we have Vikavolt. Oh wow, so no Lugias in top 4. How amazing is that? Not that I have anything against Lugia. It's a deck that I like, and I think it's pretty legit deck, probably the best deck in the format right now. But it's just that, I don't know, it's the deck that is always there. So to see something slightly different is something that I truly like. So we are going to make a very, very quick pause, and we will get back once we have people sharing our screen with us. Or wait, we already have them, so let's go into the top 4. Yes, let's get into the top 4, and the match that is going to be featured will be, and let me check the lists very quickly. So we are going to see Regis against Arceus Duraludon. Okay, really, really interesting pairing. And we get to see everything from the eyes of the Regi player, the same Regi player that we saw in the previous game. So the hand is not that bad. It's true that there is no drawing supporter, but maybe you can take things easy and just use the capture energy to get the missing Regi. Well, wait, actually, you can get a turn 1 attack. You can, if you draw another Aurora energy, you can get a turn 1 attack this turn. That's actually pretty crazy. But let's start by explaining a little bit what we are seeing. So Arceus Duraludon is in front and has decided to go first. Now, it was a bit unlucky that Duraludon was the Pokemon into the active position, because of course you only run 2 or 3, because you want to maximize the opportunities of opening up with Arceus, which is your preferred attacker and the one that is going to set up the entire game. So Arceus was grabbed, double turbo energy was attached, and then in the following turn, what ideally the Duraludon player wants to do is to switch and place Arceus into the active position, power up Duraludon, and then let me check very quickly. I am really curious to see what are the stadiums that the Arceus Duraludon run, because if they run triple Lost City. So this is going to be very difficult if they access the Lost City for the Regigigas player to come back into the game. But let's see, because so far, oh my god, like, is that the best? I think this is probably your dream as a player. This is basically your dream. Oh no, you missed it. It was missed. The 6th Regi was missed, but it was very, very close. It was very close. Now, what is going to happen here? I think that we will just see a pass, because there are not many options here, and that pass to the peak will really hurt Arceus. It's true that if they have the stadium, they can just pop it, but still pretty difficult for Arceus to overcome that. Let's see. So Colress Experiment is going to let Arceus see the next 5 cards of the top of the deck, take 2 and send them to the Lost Zone and get the remaining 3. So it seems that this is not a very easy decision, as it's taking some time. Ideally, you need the stadium, and you want the Arceus V-Start. If you are able to access those 3 cards, you are golden. Ooh, so 1 stadium was removed. So I would imagine that this can only mean that there is another one in hand. And if there is another one in hand and it happens to be a Lost City, then things are going to get really, 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 really difficult for Regigigas. Because if they Lost Zone your Regis, and then next turn they use Boss's Orders and send your Regis to the Lost Zone, how do you get back into the game? And there it is, there is the Lost City. So that means that Arceus can now activate its ability, taking any 2 cards from the deck. I guess one of those cards is going to be a switching card, so maybe a Escape Rope or a switch, and the other one needs to be an energy in case that it is not already in hand. if the energy is already in hand, maybe it's just a supporter for the next turn. So this is going to make the life of Regigigas a bit more difficult. So, okay, so in this case, the energy that is now getting attached to Arceus is another double turbo energy. It's true that Arceus is only dealing 160 damage, but it's more than enough to KO every single Regi in the deck, because there are not health modifiers like Cape of Softness being run here. So yeah, the priority here for Regigigas is not only going to be to attack this turn, which is something that can be effectively done by using Regirock, because it will hit Arceus by weakness, but to get rid of the Lost City. And this is going to be the moment of the truth. Is Trekking Shoes going to help in any way? So yes, it will. Now, the problem is that I am not sure if there is a way to attack this turn, because there is only one Aurora energy in the deck. So yes, definitely you can attach the capture energy, and that is going to get the Regice. So that means that Regigigas will be able to activate its ability. Now, the problem with that is that there are not enough Aurora energies to attack with Regirock. So maybe this is the safest option to see if that Trekking Shoes gets you a supporter or something. But we're in the same situation, aren't we? Well, the difference here might be that you might be able to retreat. Well, you can now attack. It's true, if you wanted to, you can now attack by using the Scoop Up Net. You can now attack if you wanted with either Regigigas or Regieleki. And looks like this is exactly what is going to happen. So Regieleki is going to be the attacker of choice. And also, it's kind of an okayish movement, because even if you don't KO anything, you soften up the Duraludons a little bit. Well, just a tiny little bit on the bench. But it might be an okayish sacrifice. Oh no, Boss's Orders. If Boss's Orders targets the Regice, is over. Okay, that's it. So I don't know if there is a way for Regigigas to come back into the game, because there is no way for them to attack, basically. So without access to the 6th Regi, there is no possibility to get the puzzle complete, and without the puzzle, you don't get to activate your Regigigas ability. So that's definitely very, very, very unlucky. You now need to rely on manual attachments. You basically need to rely on manual attachments. So Regidrago is going to draw here some cards, but what do you do in this situation? What do you do at this point? It was very huge, the fact that Regigigas missed that attack in the second turn it was. So at this point, maybe it's about trying to stall a little bit. But even if you do, I think that Arceus Duraludon still has all the advantage. It's going to be very difficult for them to lose this game at this situation, especially because they can just wait. They can just wait till they get some energies, and they will take KO after KO. They just don't need to worry about anything. And there it is. There is yet another energy. Regidrago is going to join Regice into the Lost Zone, and Path to the Peak was found. Not that it matters that much. True. What you are doing in this situation is you're preventing more Regis to go to the Lost Zone, but without access to recover them, that is, we are going to see how the Regigigas player admits defeat. That was pretty much kind of expected. Sad, but expected. And now we are going to see game 2 against the same player. So let's see what happens. I guess that Regis are going to start this turn, and yep, let's see overall. But really intense, really intense game. And very unlucky for the Regigigas player, the fact that, well, they were not able to draw back to the peak to prevent Lost City from sticking 2 turns in a row. And that definitely made the difference, as it is impossible to recover once a Pokemon has been sent to the Lost Zone. It is impossible to interact with them or to recover them or just to put them back into your bench. It would be very interesting if at some point they would make a mechanic that would let us interact with the Lost Zone in a way, but that's something that we've never seen, and I'm not sure if we will see it anytime soon. Okay, so time for the rematch, and the question is, can Regigigas equalize the game, or are we going to be seeing how Arceus Duraludon goes and becomes our first finalist of the night? Let's get into it. So Regigigas is going to start. The hand is not great. True that they have some capture energies that is going to help during the setup, but no, not really. Not much. It's not exactly the situation you want to be in. Well, the Dead Professor's research definitely helps, and that's back to the peak as well. Now, the only problem is that if you go ahead and use Path to the Peak straight away, then you risk it getting removed by Lost City or by one of the 4 stadium copies that are being run by Arceus Duraludon. So I guess that path is going to be kept in hand, and that's it. So they just pass the turn on to Arceus. Now, this time, Arceus Duraludon started effectively with Arceus. And now we see a Cold Rest experiment, really good consistent supporter that helps a lot in this type of situations. And we might even see a turn 1 Trinity Nova. I think it's the attack of Arceus to power up a Duraludon. It is very important that a Duraludon gets bench, because if they don't do it, it's easy for Regis to get a KO on Arceus by using Regirock. Now, it was the situation, so just a pass, nothing at all. Okay, now that might be very problematic, because if Arceus has not been able to set up, if that Arceus is not able to survive next turn, then it's really going to be hard for them to come back into the game, because yes, true, you have access to all the lost cities that you want in the world. However, if you have nothing to attack with, how are you going to be sending Regis to the lost zone? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's definitely an issue that needs to be watched out for. But luckily, kind of luckily for Arceus, the Regi player had not been able to set up properly, and I don't think there is a way to set up or to attack this turn. So this gives Arceus a second chance. This gives Arceus a second chance to get into the game. But let's see, because it definitely won't have a third one, as this Professor's research in hand will ensure, for sure, that an attack is going to happen next turn. So the choice belt is going to be attached to the Regigigas. Okay, capture energy will grab a Regirock, which is the one that can KO Arceus, and now the pressure is on Arceus Duraludon. They have a lot of cards in hand, at least 9, but do they have the pieces that they need? Remember, Arceus V-Start ability cannot be activated, so we will see a Pokegear 3.0 instead, not grabbing anything. Okay, and another Pokegear that in this case is going to get a Marnie. So is it an indication of the fact that Arceus Duraludon is bricked? Because definitely Marnie is probably not the supporter that you want to see here, or that you want to see at this point during the game, especially if you have not set up. So Big Parasol gets attached to Duraludon V on the bench. Remember that the pieces that you need right now are a double turbo energy, a get to remove the stadium, well, ideally, but your priority is to power up your Duraludon and to start attacking with Arceus. That's your priority. So Ultra Ball grabbed a second Duraludon and Marnie. So after all, it looked like that was the situation, that Duraludon was pricked. And the problem is that two very valuable resources to Pokegears 3.0 have already been used. So what is going to happen here? Will Arceus be able to attack this turn? If they don't attack this turn, or if an energy does not get attached this turn, I feel that Regis is going to have the advantage here. Okay, so an energy gets attached to Arceus, a basic fire need energy, which is not going to allow them to use Trinity Nova. However, I would imagine that they are doing it because they have right hand in hand, and that is the way to send the energy to the discard pile. Now, we are probably going to see a KO on that Arceus. All the 6 Regis are now on the field, which means that if the player wants, Regigigas can activate all the abilities. So let's see what happens here. Trekking Shoes, Ultra Ball, probably not going to be grabbed. It's not really that necessary. And there are many energies already on the discard pile. So if they wanted to, there are many options. So they can just stick with Regigigas and attack with it, but it won't get the KO or Arceus. Or maybe if there is a way to force a retreat or to get a scoop up net, then all that you need to do is to basically promote your Regirock and get the KO. So let's see what happens here. There are 2 possibilities, either to use Marnie or to use Serena to discard, well, as many cards as you want from your hand and to draw until you have 5. So let's see what is the preferred option here. Looks like Serena is going to be used. Or Ancient Wisdom. Yeah, Serena in this situation. And what they are going to do, okay, so this is interesting. So they are recognizing the fact that in this situation it's not worth hitting the Arceus because there is no way for you to go to get rid of it in just one attack, and they didn't want to lose the possibility to attack this turn. So targeting a Duraludon is as good as any other option, but probably the one that makes you take the most value out of this situation. So yeah, pretty good. So Duraludon receives 180 damage. If it is not healed, it's going to go down during the next turn. And let's see. So nothing too spectacular here from Arceus Duraludon, just another manual attachment onto the Arceus and a pass. So that means that Regigigas is going to be able to attack and KO that Duraludon on the active position. The only possibility that they have here is to use Marnie. That's the only supporter that they have right now in the hand. But I am inclined to believe that they won't use it because they know that their opponent is bricked. And so, in my opinion, it makes no sense to give them more possibilities to draw the things that they need. So what is now going to be used is Regieleki, which is not only a smart choice because it damages some Pokemon on the bench, but also because remember that it is the only Regi Pokemon from that you run 3 copies of. So if it gets lost seated, it is more than fine. You can survive that sacrifice in that sense. So Evolution Incense coming from Arceus Duraludon. Arceus now it's going to make a splash into the field, but still the stadium wouldn't let them activate the abilities, and that is definitely a problem. Okay, sure, you get one prize. Regieleki goes now to the Regieleki goes to the discard pile, but in this situation, I am not sure how. There has to be some very crazy things happening for Arceus Duraludon to be able to come back into the game. Because if Regirock launches an attack, which is something that we are going to see most likely, that Arceus will go down and they will only have one Duraludon. And things with just one Pokemon, I'm not sure of how likely is that Duraludon survives a lot of attacks. And the thing is that they've built a lot of tempo in this situation. But however, now that I look at the hand, they don't have a possibility to get Regieleki back without using a supporter. So if you use Marnie, you're giving your opponent the possibility of getting cards that maybe they need. But if you use Professor's Research, then you get rid of most of your stadium cards, and that's not going to be nice. So in the end, Regieleki is here. So now Regigigas can activate its ability, but still, aren't they missing one Aurora energy, or did I miss something? Yep, looks like this was the scenario. Absolutely. So they missed one Aurora energy. So they need to go for plan B, which in this case is to go for Scoop Up Net, and looks like Regieleki is going to be again the attacker of choice while they are powering up another attacker, Regigigas in this case. So Dora Spark will damage Arceus. Now you don't need to hit it for weakness to send it to the discard pile. And we see how Duraludon is already it's already 40 damage. It has already received 40 damage, hasn't he? So Duraludon VMAX, I feel it's going to hit the field and Call Resist Experiment. Now, if they are able to start getting Lost Cities, that can be huge. But still, even if they get Lost City, the issue here is that, first of all, this time, Regis has access to more stadiums. We know that they run 4 copies of Path to the Peak, so they can counter it. And even if they are able to remove, as we saw in the first game, 2 copies of one Regi, like Regice or Regirock or Regi whatever, even if that happens, Regis still have opportunities to power up their Regis without waiting for a knockout to happen. So that's going to be definitely a challenge. And no Lost City. In this case, it's training card, but it's going to let Arceus at least activate the ability before going down. So I don't remember also, are there any basic energies in the discard pile? I don't think so, but I might be wrong. So Starbirth gets used. Any 2 cards from the deck will now be grabbed. Maybe a Hand Disruption card. And Roxanne would be ideal in this scenario if they run it. And maybe some healing cards. The only way in which I can see Duraludon coming back into the game is by healing itself as much as humanly possible, basically. So, okay, 1 healing card has already been used on Duraludon, and the first KO, at least we see the first KO from Arceus getting rid of that Regieleki. And luckily, there are 3 more Regielekis in the... there are 2 more Regielekis on the deck. And that Ultra Ball can get it. And also, yes, you attack into a Pokemon that have a gift energy. I think if I could wish for a card to come back, to be reprinted, it would be either the Enhanced Hammer or maybe that card from Black and White that did the same, basically the same thing, but removed the energy. It would be the death of Lugia. But anyways, so now looks like it's going to be Regidrago, the one attacking here, and Ancient Wisdoms gets to be used. So, oh no, so Regidrago is not going to be able to attack again because we are missing the energy. We are missing the Aurora energy. There is still, I can't believe that the Regigigas player has seen so many cards and still they are missing the Aurora energies that they need to attack with. So what are they going to do? What is going to be powered up here? So Aurora energy, speed energy, and gift energy gets used. Whenever I play against Regis, I always assume that they have all the Aurora energies in the discard pile, but maybe they don't. So Regidrago cannot attack, and what we are going to see is a Marnie hoping to draw that Aurora energy, and guess what? So Aurora energy was not found, and if I am not mistaken, it means that Regis are not going to attack this turn. So will that give Arceus the opportunity to come back into the game? Because this is huge. This kind of situations, this kind of whiffs that can make the difference between winning or losing. Yeah, and look at that, like all the 3 ordinary rods have already been used. So there is no way to recycle. I'm not even talking about preparing yourself for a possible Lost City play. It's just that you don't have a way to get back your Regis if they fall down in battle. Wow, that is absolutely huge. Not saying that Arceus Duraludon is in a great position, but better than one turn ago for sure. And I guess that Regis, if they had wanted, they could have attacked with other Regi. Well, in this case, the only Regi that could have attacked would have been either Regieleki or Regigigas. But both of them would have both of them would have been able to get the KO on Arceus. So I don't know, maybe they just wanted to preserve things. So another Pokégear was played and Boss's Orders was grabbed. Now, I'm not sure if that is the card that you want to see, but if you know the list of your opponent, and you do because of course the lists are open, and you realize that all the 3 rods are now in the discard pile, maybe what you do here is you target Regis or one of the Regis that they only ran 2 of. So instead of that, Colress's Experiment. Colress Experiment is going to be used, getting 3 cards. Wonder what these cards are going to be. And just straight Trinity, Nova, maybe accelerating some energies. I'm not sure how many energies they've gone through. And Regidrago goes down. And what is going to be promoted? Maybe Regieleki again to deal some damage to that Duraludon on the bench. No, so but the problem here is that if you promote again, your Registeel, unless you draw the Aurora energy, you're not going to be able to attack with it. So that's definitely a problem. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, the safest option here is Regieleki. That's definitely the safest option. And the one that will help you attack, but still now you need one Regidrago, which is in hand. So looks like, well, there it is, the Aurora energy at last. At last, the Aurora energy. I can't believe that they have like 2 Aurora energies in the last 12 cards of the deck. Anyhow, so Regidrago needs to be benched because without Regidrago, there is no possibility for you to use Ancient Wisdom. And they are going to attach all the energies onto Regieleki to go for a KO. And that's it. That's pretty much it. So if you can continue streamlining attacks, you basically win that game. You are just 2 prizes from winning the round. But Duraludon has a lot of cards in hand. At this point, honestly, it does not matter if that V evolves or not, because because Regigigas only needs to get 2 prizes. So Boss's orders into Regidrago. Okay, interesting. And Arceus will be grabbed with a Quick Ball. Now, Lost City is going to be used and send Regidrago directly to the Lost Zone. So that means, and this is a bit problematic, because of the way that Regigigas had decided to distribute the energies. I don't see if there is an easy way to attack here. Well, of course, like, they can promote the Regice, but I don't see a way to effectively get Regidrago. They still have the Dragon Shoes, which is probably the option that you need to go for. But if that Regidrago goes down, that's pretty much it, isn't it? So, the timer. Okay, Aurora Energy. So it's going to go to the discard pile, and there it is, the Ultra Ball that it's going to help get Regidrago. There is still a possibility to get rid of the stadium with the last copy of Path to the Peak. No, sorry, there is another copy in the... Oh wait! No Regidrago on the deck? No, that cannot be. Am I missing something? No, wait, what I am missing? Is there no Regidrago in the deck? So are all the Regidragos already... Okay, so yes, because one is in the discard pile and the other one was removed. I don't know why, I was kind of assuming that that Regidrago was still on it. Oh my god, it is not. But now, the issue here is that what they are doing is they are preparing... Oh no! I was going to say that they are basically preparing Regigigas for the moment in which Duraludon becomes the VMAX, and so that they can KO in just 1 hit. But that moment didn't happen because they had access to another boss's orders, and that's it. That's how you win the game. So wow, we have our first finalist, Arceus Duraludon, advancing into the finals, and we are going to see it going against either straight Vikavolt, which was the one that we saw at the very beginning of the stream, or against Vikavolt with Regieleki. Wow, incredible games. I really enjoyed it so much. I think that, let me give you my very honest opinion. I think that the matchup especially with Triple Lost City, is pretty unfavorable for Regigigas. It's difficult even when you set up properly and when you draw properly. Now, what happened in those games that we saw is that in the first one, the Regigigas player had to get rid of most of their Path to the Peaks, and the Arceus player was able to use boss's orders very effectively to get rid of Regielekis, not Regielekis, Regices. They were sent to the Lost Zone, and it was impossible to power up another attacker at that stage. And in this game, however, I really thought that Regigigas had the upper hand, that it was going to win the game, but they whiffed that key turn where they couldn't attack. That you remember that they promoted something that didn't have the amount of energies required to attack, and so Arceus survived 1 turn, and that gave it the time that they needed to keep attacking. So and until they got into a situation where they won the game, because they had to discard in an attempt to win the game quickly. The Regigigas player discarded all the recycling options. So what a game! It feels also amazing that we are not going to see a Lugia mirror match in the finals, and it proves that when you sleep on certain decks, they just come back stronger. So yeah, incredible. And I think that we can now see the game. Let me very quickly see if there is still being played. And yes, so we will get to see the other game of Vikavolt versus Vikavolt. Woof. Grab some popcorn because I have the feeling that this is going to be a long one. And allow me to drink some water because I'm really, really thirsty. Okay, so what we are seeing here, I believe it's the player that shared our screen with us in the very first game, so straight Vikavolt, because it's Vikavolt with Raikou and with Regigigas, and yeah, with more focus on Path to the Peak and Judge, and the other player is running a very similar deck, but with the help of Regieleki, that, as you probably know by now, provides you with the possibility of doing plus 30 when you attack with a basic V Lightning Pokemon. So let's see what happens here, and very quickly let me check because I want to see what the score is looking like for these players. So looks like straight Vikavolt. That's how I'm going to be naming this deck now. So straight Vikavolt is leading 1-0. So if straight Vikavolt wins this game, basically we will already have the second finalist, the finalist that will face Arceus Duraludon. So now what is happening here is that the entire hand is getting played down, I guess because you know that once your opponent starts getting you into the item lock, there is no opportunity for you to use any of these cards, so you want to maximize them while you can. And however, what I am missing here is that no energy was drawn, and that is definitely a problem. No energy being drawn. Now what are you going to do if they get the turn 1 item lock? So Battle VIP Pass, it's going to get, whoa, many things going on here. So Battle VIP Pass, well, actually double Battle VIP Pass, which will grab a Greninja, which will grab a Regieleki, and then two additional new Pokemon. And Path to the Peak was immediately countered by Temple of Shino. So I wonder if that means that this list, and let me check because this is really interesting. Does that mean that this list does not run any speed energy? This player, no, it runs 4 speed energies. It says that they run 2 Temple of Shinos and 2 Stormy Mountains for the setup. And by the way, in case that you are wondering, the Pokemon lineup looks like that. So 3 Vikavolt V, 2 Regieleki V Max, and 3 Regieleki V. And they are, of course, renouncing to things like to things like Mew, which is, the Mew package is the one that the straight Vikavolt is playing. But look at that, they missed the turn 1 attack, and this is huge because if you see at the deck, if you see at the hand that this player has, so basically everything is an item, so nothing would have been able to be played. So Raikou now is going to use the ability, draw 1 card. This is a good card to draw. This is actually a really good card to draw because then you can send it to the discard pile, and you could potentially get Melony here. If you wanted to. You could activate the Forest Seal Stone to get Melony, and the only thing here is that you will need to top deck a energy, and it didn't go as planned. So that's definitely a problem. Not as problematic because you had been able to attach the energy and all of that, which is great, but you now are missing the KO here. So it looks like it was decided that poor Zigzagoon is going to be taking the hit. at least for the time being. I think this is going to be a lengthy game in the sense that these decks cannot really do a ton of damage out of the blue. They are not aggressive decks, they are control decks. And if we get into a situation where a lot of item locks are going on, or we have an item lock situation going on for many turns, well, don't expect this to be ending anytime soon. So Boss's Orders was now played by Vikavolt and Ultravolt. By the way, I love this artwork. I love it so much, and I guess that we will get maybe a drawing Pokemon, like either Crobat or well, that might mean that they already have the supporter or the energy in hand. So Regieleki is now properly set up, which is very nice. And as you can see, that's the difference that Regieleki makes into this type of games. So on the one hand, it is true. Ooh, so a lightning energy was now grabbed. Now the problem is that it cannot be played. I mean, it can be played, but it won't provide any effect. So, and not being able to get rid of the Temple of Shino, maybe a possibility could have been in the previous turn to use the Lost Vacuum, but it was decided to be kept in the hand. And as such, what we are seeing is that now the speed energy was not used, and looks like now Raikou is going to be promoted again in the active position to use the ability, I would imagine, to draw some extra cards. Luminium definitely can be used, but I am not sure of what is the... I am not entirely sure of what is going to be the route here of play. So it looks like just a Boss's Orders onto the Regieleki. Okay, so trying to stall a little bit until they are able to break free from the item lock. But no, it's not going to be today because the switching card has been played. So that Raikou just keeps getting damage, and it's going to go down during the next turn. So just the ability, draw one extra card, and now they can use Path to the Peak to get rid of Temple of Shino. But at this situation, yeah, maybe that your best option here is to use Paralyzing Bolt. However, you are only dealing 60 damage, which is not much. You will need to attack so many turns in a row. And look at that. Temple of Shino is now back into play. So both players seem to be pretty stacked. Looks like neither want to stop using item lock. And now with Temple of Shino, the problem is that Vikavolt cannot even attack, because all that it has attached is basic water energy and special energy. And remember that whenever a special energy gets attached into a Pokemon, it only activates it only provides the lightning type if it's a special energy. And since Temple of Shino shuts them down, that's the problem that we have. And another Paralyzing Bolt, so another additional 80 damage. The damage is already piling up. I think that the situation for straight Vikavolt is not looking great, and Regieleki proving why it's such a worthy card to consider, how this extra 30 damage can definitely make the difference. So then what we see here is Melanie, which is going to accelerate some energy onto Regieleki. By the way, don't forget that Regieleki is a really good attacker on its own. So another attack, another item lock situation. Wow, look at that hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 cards in hand, and none of them can be played. That's the situation. That's literally the situation. So we are going to see Vikavolt going down, Regieleki Vikavolt getting 2 prizes, and the situation is not looking great, because look at the amount of energies, the difference between both boards. It's incredible. Another energy getting attached to Regieleki. Now Vikavolt goes down. I see no possibility of breaking the item lock this turn, and especially not with that hand. You will need to top deck a Melony and then an energy, and it didn't happen. So yeah, we are just going to see how straight Vikavolt decides to forfeit the matchup. And so wait, let me check very quickly, because I thought that the straight Vikavolt was leading, but maybe, just a second, but maybe what happened is that we already have the finalist ready. Maybe I missed it. So if I check the pairings, what I see is that exactly. So we have two winners that are going to face each other in the finals. So we have basically Arceus Duraludon going against Vikavolt Regieleki. So very, very, very interesting matchup. I have the feeling that if Arceus Duraludon sets up quickly, they have nothing to fear against the item lock, because they have so many great Pokemon. They have tons of HP and they can basically win against anything, but we will need to see. So let me take a very, very quick break, and I will be back with you as soon as the two finalists start sharing their screens with us, and that we can continue enjoying this action. So far, I am really having a lot of fun casting this tournament. So I hope that you are you are going through the same as well. So yeah, be right back very soon. I've been speaking for a while and you guys didn't hear me, so okay, technology. Well, anyway, so I was saying that the finals had already started, that in this case Vikavolt has gone first, has attached one energy onto Vikavolt, and what we are going to see is the item lock becoming a reality here, with Escape Rope, with Path to the Peak, with Temple of Shino, and then an Ultra Ball that, let's see what it's going to grab. It can be maybe a Regieleki VMAX to start boosting up the damage. And now the situation here is not that bad in a sense, because if they really wanted to, true that no item cards can be used, but they still have access to Arceus ability. So I imagine that a possible option here would be to grab a double turbo energy to use it to power another Arceus. Sorry, it's getting very late for me. And maybe a follow-up play. I'm not entirely sure what that follow-up play could look like. Okay, Hyper Potion, but you cannot really use it now, so I'm not sure if the Hyper Potion is what I would grab. And right hand. Okay, right hand, so to prepare, or because you are kind of assuming that rightfully so, that this Arceus is going down. So you just use the attack to power up a Duraludon, and maybe, yeah, that's it. So all energies go into, two energies go into Duraludon, and the other one into the second Duraludon that has been benched. And honestly, now Arceus is looking pretty solid, because true, you can now you can assume a KO in a sense. You are okay with letting that Arceus go down, because then you will be able to answer with Duraludon. And the best part of this is that no Cape of Toughness is attached to Vikavolt, so it is an easy prey for Duraludon VMAX that, as you know, deals 220 damage and ignores all the effects on the defending Pokemon. So yeah, Paralyzing Bolt is still no hand disruption, so I imagine that what we are going to be seeing here promoted is the... Oh no, okay, so they decided to go for Arceus, okay. Okay, yes, of course, because there was no... Sorry, my bad. I completely forgot that there was no basic energy in the discard pile. So that's it. So right hand directly grabs any card that you want from your deck. And in this case, this card is going to be the Duraludon V. So it is an easy as to attack and get the first KO, I would imagine. So G-Max Pulverization deals 120 damage, and now the pressure is kind of into the Regieleki player. We might see here a Regieleki attack that won't be enough to get rid of or to KO Duraludon in one hit, and I think that this is now going to be reduced to whether the Duraludon player has access to healing cards or not. But instead of that, who's going to receive the damage is going to be that Duraludon V that has still not evolved. And so Boss's Orders was played, Luminion is now discarded, and Crobat B. Okay, so maybe Boss's Orders was here grabbed in order to make Crobat more effective. So yeah, Crobat gets played, some extra cards are going to get drawn. It is very important that a lightning energy is hit, but in this case, well, the the Forest Seal Stone will also be able to transform into any card that they want from the deck. So, and of course we won't be able to see that card. So the V-Star ability has already been used. There is the manual attachment. So Greninja now uses its ability to keep drawing some cards and getting some additional resources. And so yeah, looks like it's going to be Regieleki, the one attacking here. Now, very interesting. Regieleki has some cool movements. I think, if I remember correctly, the one that they have used, it protects him from some damage or something like that. I cannot see the card from where I am, but if I am not, let me check it very, very, very quickly for you, because I think it did something around that. So Regieleki, during your opponent next turn, this Pokemon take 100 less damage. Exactly. I thought it was 80, but no, 100. Well, 100 is quite a number, huh? Quite a number. So now, what we are seeing here is that Ultra Ball is going to be played, which is, of course, because Vikavolt has not attacked, and now we don't have an item lock going in. They are considering discarding the Double Turbo Energy, which I understand that in this situation right now might not be the best card in the world. But on the other hand, I feel that this is a very important card for healing purposes and for everything. But of course, like, you just cannot use it considering the situation in which you are in. So, okay. So Marnie just going to come into play and nothing else. Maybe they were hoping to hit a switching card, I would imagine, but this was not the situation. So all that is left is a pass, I think. Well, you can keep thinning out your deck a little bit so that the Pokegear has more possibilities or hitting a supporter. But apart from that, that's it. You cannot really attack this turn. So yeah, pass it. They decide to pass the turn. Okay, so now the turn is back to Regieleki. There are actually 3 Regielekis on play, but only one Regieleki VMAX. I remind you that they only play 2 Regielekis VMAX, so only one more can be evolved. The other one would be probably the one that just attacks and tanks some damage, We see that Greninja is discarding speed energies because right now they cannot be used with Temple of Shino in the field. So maybe we'll just see another attack, another 100 damage, and that's pretty much it. Now, this is very interesting because if Duraludon wants to get rid of that Regieleki, they need to attack at least 3 times. I think that the attack of Duraludon goes through that shield. Yeah, it goes through that shield, so only 2 attacks. It goes through that shield. Culver's Experiment now is going to be played. Boss's Orders. Nothing here that is going to really make a difference, except for maybe the capability of recycling some energies. So yeah, Gmax Pulverization, it's going to deal 220, yeah, exactly, because as I said, it ignores all the effects in the active position. It means that you can hit for a very solid damage when you face something like Regieleki or Gudra, that also prevents 80 damage. So what is going to happen here? We see an Ultra Ball, maybe we will see a Regieleki or something just to thin out the deck. So a second Regieleki is going to hit the field. Okay, so that means that this, if I am not mistaken, doesn't that mean that the basic Regieleki is getting the KO? Yes, it does. It does. So it definitely got the KO, and now the situation is not looking exactly great. So only 1 card prize is separating Regieleki from taking the victory. Ooh, but Marnie might change things. Now, okay, so it was decided that Marnie was not the option here. Okay, so Culver's Experiment, I wonder if they were kind of hoping to get an energy card or something back into the hand so that Hyper Potion could be used. Maybe that is what they were going for. Now, they decided, I think that, yeah, that's exactly what they are going for, to try to pile up energies into the... Oh no, so they are sharing the energies. They are distributing them along the different Pokemon. Okay, I really thought that they were going to try to attach 2 energies onto the active Duraludon to then heal it with the help of Hyper Potion, but seems that this is not the case. And also, to be perfectly honest, they have a different win condition here, that is Boss's Orders. They can just boss orders that Crobat, and that's basically it. If they don't disrupt, if their hand does not get disrupted, they win. So now the question is, will Regieleki have a way to disrupt the opponent's hand? Maybe a Judge, maybe a Roxanne, maybe Stamp? No, just joking. Stamp is no longer here. No. So just Arceus, that has now been brought into the active position with Serena. But still, I think it's game over, because all that they need to do is to attach the energy that has been taken from the prizes to Arceus, manually retreat Arceus, and use Boss's Orders onto Crobat. And that's basically it. That's how you win against this game. That's how you basically win against this situation and against item lock. So manual retreat, Boss's Orders into Crobat or into basically anything that they have other than Regieleki VMAX, and that's it. They just have to attack for the game. So 1-0, Duraludon is closer to become our late night champions. So let's see what happens in the second game. Overall, I think both decks work very well, and it was, as I was explaining at the beginning, that I feel that under the same conditions, Arceus Duraludon has a slightly favorable matchup because it has very sturdy Pokemons that can survive lots of hits and that hit very, very hard and kind of are prepared to ignore the item lock. Kind of. because you still have access to Arceus ability and all of that. So, game number 2. Let's see what happens. Game number 2. In this case, I guess that so who's going to start is, yes, exactly. So Vikavolt will start once again, but look at that, Arceus was the one that has started the game. So that's huge. Unless Path to the Peak is played, that means that Arceus will be able to get some action for us in the following turns and possibly getting a Trinity charts and, well, you know, the typical Arceus shenanigans. So Raikou is the Pokemon that started into the active spot. Ultra Volt has been used to get a Regieleki. Raikou's ability will get an additional extra card. Let's see how many Battle VIP passes we see. Ooh, looks like no Battle VIP passes and just a Temple of Shino to prevent Arceus for the turn 1 charge attack, which is something that, by the way, was not going to happen because no Double Turbo Energy was drawn. Now, on the bright side, they have, I think that we can agree that Arceus has a strong hand. On the not so bright side, there are no supporters. So this might slow things down. I think that it's very important that an energy needs to be attached and the Arceus V-Star needs to be grabbed. Just in case something very, very, very weird happens and Vikavolt appears out of the blue and then puts you into an item lock situation. But, well, in this case, it was not Vikavolt, but it was Marnie that is going to take away the possibility of using Arceus. Ooh, that is definitely bad. That's not amazing. That's definitely not amazing because that Raikou is going to already start attacking Arceus. Well, at least 1 energy. That's definitely something that helps because that way you can start powering up your Duraludon V-Star. So not the best of the things, but still good thing. Yeah, now your Duraludon VMAX is ready to smash. Whenever I look at Duraludon, you know, I think of Hulk from the Avengers, like Duraludon smashes, things like that. Well, whatever. Anyways, sorry, I told you it's getting late for me. Melanie gets played and it's going to power up Regieleki. It's funny that we have not seen any single Vikavolt, but maybe this situation is not what you really need, or maybe it's a bit too late. So Raikou is just going to draw an additional card and attack Arceus, but still Arceus is not going to go down, at least not this turn. So there is still some possibilities of top decking an Arceus V-Star and using the V-Star power to get maybe a Colress experiment or a switching card or something like that. The good news for Vikavolt is that they had been able to attach a Cape of Toughness to the Raikou, and that means that it's not going to go down when Duraludon attacks. But however, that means that if you play down another V Pokemon, like for instance Vikavolt, it will go down. So, well, let's see. There is a search being made via Quick Ball, I guess. Okay, so Crobat. Maybe that indicates or that hints the fact that they have a way to reduce their hand. Oh, wow. So being forced to play Trapion is not exactly what you want to see. So they must be very, very, very stuck, or they just wanted to try to get the KO as badly as possible. I don't know. Because that Trapion is definitely a very easy target for the Arceus player. And all that they need to do is to maybe KO the active Pokemon and then use double bosses orders to seal the game. So now they are going to thin out a little bit the deck, and I would assume that they are going to play Marnie in an attempt to draw the V star. So Arceus V star. I would imagine that this is what is going to happen. Exactly. So Marnie gets played, and let's see if Arceus makes an appearance. Yeah, it does, because the evolution instance is there. And also the good thing is, I believe that the double turbo energy can still be attached. It will only provide one energy, but it will give the possibility for Arceus to attack for Arceus to attack, which is pretty solid, I believe. They can also, if they truly wanted to, they could save the double turbo energy and use the escape rope and just force something to take the hit. That's something that could happen. There are many options here. Or you can already start putting some pressure on the Raikou and save the V-Star ability for later, and then use that double turbo energy with a hyper potion to heal most of the damage from Duraludon V. So let's see what is the situation here. So escape rope, it was decided that escape rope was going to be played, and now they have a difficult decision because nothing can really survive that hit. Can it? No, nothing can. So they are deciding to sacrifice a Vikavolt, which is probably not going to be used that much at this situation. And now Duraludon is leading the race. And also they were able to get Marnie off of the prizes, which is of course going to be very important to get some additional draws after this turn. Now, looks like we are going to have a VMAX fight. So Duraludon VMAX against Regieleki VMAX, I was going to say two legendary Pokemon, but the reality is that I feel that Duraludon is not a legendary Pokemon. It's a really cool and well-designed Pokemon, but not legendary at all, while Regieleki it is. Okay, so Radiant Greninja is going to be grabbed, maybe because they have an energy on the hand and they want to... Okay, so the Forest Seal Stone gets attached to Regieleki, which is going to transform into any card that they want. And that's it. They just go for a straight attack onto Duraludon. Okay, so at this situation, I feel that if they really wanted to, so they can just bosses orders, attack, and in the following turn, once that VMAX goes down, since they have been saving Arceus' ability, all that they need to do is to use Arceus' ability for another bosses orders and to target down Crobat and win the game. That's it. Now, the question is, will they be able to disrupt their hand? Which is something, it was a very similar situation to the one that we saw in the previous game. Whether Vikavolt will play some hand disruption option. So let's see here. Now, looks like they are searching through the deck. Maybe another Marnie? A Marnie could potentially save them. Oh, well, no. Okay, this is, of course, yeah, this is better. Because if you are getting rid of Arceus, that means that the ability cannot be used unless something is top-decked. So, okay, so they are just promoting Duraludon be here. So the energy gets attached into the Arceus. And now it really depends. So are we going to see a Marnie? Yes. So we are going to see a Marnie, hoping to get the bosses orders. Okay, that is the bosses orders. Duraludon is going to attack. That is pretty clear. Duraludon is going to attack. It won't be enough to KO that Regieleki. Won't be enough. And Pokegear has already been grabbed. Now, the situation here is looking pretty solid for the Duraludon player, because unless there is a way to take bosses orders away from them, they have basically win, right? Because because even if they retreat the Regieleki from the active position, all that they need to do is to use Boss's Orders, and since they are 2 prizes away, they just win the game. They become the champion. So let's see what happens here. Switching card, Raikou. Raikou will get 1 additional card, and Cape of Softness into the Crobat. That does not really matter because Regieleki has been damaged by Duraludon. And what is that Ultra Ball going to get them? What is the Ultra Ball going to get them? It needs to be Marnie or Roxanne. Okay, so this is huge. So Luminion. Luminion can go for Marnie. Luminion can go for Marnie here. Yes, Marnie. So now it's back to square one. Still, there are a lot of Boss's Orders in the deck, so it's a possibility that they draw into them. But let's see. No Boss's Orders. Oh, wow. No Boss's Orders, but they have an Ultra Ball. And if they have the second copy of Arceus V-Start in play, it means that they equally win. So let's see what happens here. So Ultra Ball is going to discard, whatever 2 cards. The Arceus V-Start is there, so GG, well played. That means that now we get to see a Boss's Orders. And Starbirth is going to grab, whatever 2 cards, so Boss's Orders and another one. It doesn't really matter because with that, then Regieleki can be targeted down, or Crobat for that matter. And just like that, we have a new European late night series. So congrats, Arceus Duraludon, on winning this series. Wow, really funny, really incredible and stimulating run. I think I really enjoyed the experience of casting these. It's great to see that Arceus Duraludon still does great, and I think it's a really valid deck for the format. It's just that, as you know, the issue with Arceus Duraludon is that some Lugias have been adapting their style of play so that they could counter Arceus Duraludon better by running things like Path to the Peak and canceling Cologne and things like that. But in reality, once it's set up, it can basically win against anything. And I especially like the deck list and how they decided to run 3 copies of Lost City to have a better opportunity against Lost Box and against Regis. So overall, very well played by all of the players here. I think that we can agree that we have seen some quality matchups, and it is a bit weird that we didn't see Lugia winning as much, but well, the metagame moves in waves, and I hope that you enjoyed this. So having said that, congrats again to the finalist, congrats to the winner. I would just like to remind you that if you enjoyed this stream, please consider subscribing to the Shuffle Squad YouTube channel, because we have a lot of action going on, and that tomorrow we will have, tomorrow in a couple of hours in reality, that the late night series for America will take place, and that if you want to participate in those tournaments, it is as easy as to have a Pokemon TCG account to sign up in the Play Limitless page, and that's it. And you will get the chance to compete against the best players to win a trip to Japan. So having said all of that, all that I have left to say is that thank you so much for being here with me for another amazing night. I'm going now to be going to bed, but I hope that you had fun. And as always, if you had any comments or feedback for me, I will be more than happy to hear them. So have a great rest of the day, and looking forward to cast with you again and to be with you very shortly. So, bye-bye.
The Shuffle Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com, and at the checkout screen, make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTCGO Store to provide our community with the best access to Pokemon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at ptcgostore.com.
Are you trying to be the best like no one ever was? Now is your time. Head on over to metafy.gg and search out all our amazing Pokemon TCG coaches where you can book all sorts of training plans ranging from deck help to full season sessions with your favorite coach. What a great way to up your game. Check out metafy.gg in the description below and take your game to the next level. Challenge yourself against trainers from around the world to compete for the biggest online prizing yet.
Are you ready for an unbelievable tournament unlike anything else you've ever seen before? The Shuffle Squad is proud to announce our newest tournament series, the Late Night Events, with an amazing grand prize that's bound to have you excited.
Players can compete via play.limitless.tcg.com's online tournament platform every Tuesday to get a chance to earn weekly prizes. And every week, your placement in the tournament is tallied by points based on your best finishes to earn your rank for the Late Night Invitational event.
The series will be conducted starting February 7th of 2023 and carry all the way through to the Invitational on July 9th of 2023, where the top players will be rewarded the grand prizing.
And the grand prize is a signed jersey and photo op with the entire Shuffle Squad, as well as a fully paid trip to the Pokemon World Championships in Yokohama, Japan. This includes hotel and airfare, whether you're a player or a spectator.
Don't forget to check out all the live coverage on our YouTube and Twitch channel of the top cuts of these events for every week. And subscribe so you can get notified where to watch the Late Night Events Invitational brought to you by the Shuffle Squad. Now get out there and start winning. We'll see you in Japan.